Welcome back. Today we have a really nice little compact mod to go over. This is from Joyetech. It is the eVic Primo Fit mod with an Exceed Air Plus tank. So let's look at it. Starting with the packaging, on the front we have eVic Primo Fit by Joyetech, and a picture of the actual unit you're going to get right here in the front. It's kind of a nice touch. It's actually a sticker, so you get to see exactly what you're going to get on the front of the box rather than have some little check mark on the side. Joyetech, the contents, scratch and sniff, where to get a hold of them, social media, logo, website address. Off with the sleeve. Pretty elegant. Joyetech. Website. Logo. Nothing. On the inside, nice little piece of foam. Real nice for traveling. Did a nice job. Goodie box. Inside of there we had a whole bunch of stuff I'll show you. A little card on the Addy itself, the Exceed Air. A warranty card from Joyetech. Quick Start User's Manual for the Exceed Air Plus. And Quick Start User's Guide for the eVic Primo Fit, the mod itself. Firmware upgrade and charging cable. Spare parts for the atomizer. We've got some O-rings in there. We've got a spare glass. And a spare coil. The Exceed Air atomizer. On the top, got a replaceable 510. For a fill port, you slide this over, a little arrow you can see on the top there, and you got a nice little fill port. You fill that baby right up. On the bottom, we have one air control. One airflow control, that's it. On the very bottom, 510 center pin, 510 connection. This airflow control obviously has a very large cyclops, and then as you can see, hopefully, it starts moving down into 3 small holes. Okay, and you can adjust that all the way down to one tiny little hole if you like, one little pinhole, 2, 3, or you can move on out, keep opening up, opening up, opening up till you have a wide open airflow on that. That really gives this tank, between the 2 coils they give you in that airflow adjustment, a lot of latitude in the type of vape you can get, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. Unscrewing the base, you can see the top of the Addy up in there, and you can see that that glass will pop right on off. You replace that. As far as the coil itself, like many other coils, it just screws right out of there, and you can see the connecting points on the inside. You can see this is wet. I definitely have been using it. This particular one is the 0.5 ohm or 0.5 ohm coil, meant for direct to lung, and it has a pretty good size opening in the top. The other one is a 1.5 ohm coil with a very small opening, meant for mouth to lung. So put this together. Now both coils, it says nothing about what they're made out of in the packaging or on the coils or anything else, but I did find out through another vendor that they are nichrome. So both of them are nichrome, basically wattage only. So there we have our tank. Now the mod, the eVic Primo. Pretty nice little mod. metallic all the way around, Joyetech on the back. This one is Dazzle, I guess they call it, the color. On the front, you can see our display window. We got a fire button here, adjustment buttons, and the port for upgrades and charging. I do believe this is glass. From what I can tell, it sure appears to be. I mean, it's very, very clean, very, very bright. Does not seem to want to scratch. I guess that could be good or bad. You know, glass can break, but it is the glass on here is curved, so the structural integrity ought to be pretty doggone good on that as well. On the bottom, we have some venting, and on the top, a nice plated 510 connector that is spring loaded. So next up, how to navigate this guy. Navigation. 5 clicks on, 5 clicks off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're on. On the main operating screen, you can see that it shows that we're in a power mode. We've got a resistance of the coil, 0.54 ohms. We're on puff number 3. I've chosen that one. It says up here wattage again. It shows you the wattage is set and the voltage that was last applied to it, along with the battery indicator. To adjust the wattage, simply use the up and down buttons down here, and we adjust our wattage directly. Hold both up and down together for a bit, and you get key lock. That's going to lock the adjustment keys only. It'll still fire, so you can't accidentally adjust it. There is the sharp little clock that comes on after the main screen times out. You can set that timeout as well. We'll unlock those keys so we can go into the main menu system. You do that by clicking the power button 3 times, and the first one is mode. Go into that by hitting the power button, and we have power on the top, regular wattage mode. RTC, real-time clock. It's regular wattage mode as well, but it shows a little clock on the screen all the time in the main working menu instead of a whole bunch of the other parameters that are normally there. Okay, back into mode. TC, temperature control, we go into that. We have nichrome titanium and stainless steel. You can have your choice. So you do have to choose something. And I guess what I'll do is I'll choose titanium just for something to choose, and we'll go back into the mode again. And after that, you have TCR. You can set a custom TCR to wherever you want. You have bypass. That'll put out just whatever's on the battery. So since we did all that, I'm going to go back to, I can leave it in TC. I can show you a couple different things in there as well. And I'm used to stainless, so I'll put it in stainless. Okay, so here, temperature control, stainless steel 316. It's the only type of stainless steel that it wants to use. Okay, our coil, our puff. Okay, the degrees in Fahrenheit, that's adjustable. If you get to the top, which is 600 degrees, then you can stop and hit it again and it'll go into Celsius. On the bottom we have power, and the power applied right now, power available is 50 watts. Actually I'm going to say power applied, not available. Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a little bit when I show you how this thing actually performs. So going back into, wants to know if it's a new coil or the same coil. I'm going to say same coil for something to say. Okay, so make sure we covered everything in there. We have TC, we have the TCR, the bypass. Okay, yeah, we did. Okay, so TC, stainless, good deal. Now we can go into settings, and in here you can set a couple things for the TC as well. If you're in TC and you go into coil, you have these 2 options, lock or unlock, and you can go back and forth with the up and down buttons. So we'll lock it as you should, with a cold addy on there for temperature control. The next one down is power. Hit that, and you can adjust the amount of power that you want to use while you're using temperature control. So down here, the next one's stealth. You can turn stealth on so that the light, the screen doesn't come on when you vape it. subpower, you can go in there and you can change the different things that you want to display. Where I have the puff counter, you could have time of the puff or the amps of the puff. And for the puff counter, if you hold the plus down, it will reset to 0. Okay, so next we have the logo. You can put a custom logo on this thing. Here we have the screen. There's a timeout on this main screen. 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, whatever you want there. Okay. The clock, this is where you set the clock. This is a little bit of a challenge, at least it was for me. You go in here and the plus button will move it back and forth. Okay. And if you want to actually make a setting, okay, you don't hit that. It's, like I say, this is challenging to me. You hit the minus button and it will change the setting. And it only goes in the one direction, so you got to round robin all the way around if you miss what you want. So that's a little different. Okay, I can hit enter. 1, 2, 3 again. And go to setting. And there's a way you can stay in clock and keep on going through it. Okay, go back to hour, hit this. No, that isn't the way. Go to hour, okay, go to hour and then hit minus, and there's minute. Now I can go down here, hit plus. Now I can make the adjustment with the minus. Okay, now I can go to plus, go back to minute, hit plus again, or hit minus again. See what I'm saying? It goes to here. Okay, I think we're getting it. Month, day, and then back to hour. So you can set the clock. I found it a little challenging to get used to. Every time I go in there I find it a little challenging, but I pick up on it. So okay, 1, 2, 3. We'll go back into settings again. And what do we got? Okay, with preheat, you can go into preheat and you can set the amount of power you want for the preheat, how long you want it to preheat. Exit the menu, of course. Go into timeout, that's a timeout for the puff. So you have a number of choices in there, how long you want it to time. You go before it times out on the puff. And then exit. Next one is info. In there we have battery information, the version of the thing, and you can exit the menu. And then you can exit the menu. Back here in temperature control, you can see obviously that up and down, adjust the temperature. You can go all the way up to 600 degrees, it will stop. Press it again, it'll go into Celsius and go through the same routine in Celsius. So there you have it. That's the menu system. For the technical overview, starting with how the mod reads resistances. Actual, that was done with a milliohm meter, actual 1.8, mod 0.14, yeah, fairly good. 0.27 dead on, 0.53 dead on, 1.03 being a 0.99, yeah, not too shabby. The mod only reads to 2 decimal points, so there's some rounding there involved, so not too bad. Here's where we start to get interesting. Here we are in VW mode, and I've got 80 watts, a full 80 watts that it's capable of applied to it at the 0.14 ohms. It's putting out 3.16 volts, and it's putting out a power of 71.33 watts. A little bit under the rating of 80 watts, but not too shabby. Very fast rise time. Okay, and it is it's doing a pretty good job. It's getting pretty close to that 25 amp limit that it has. Not quite there, but pretty close. So okay, we'll go with the 71.33. That's no crises. Okay, next one up. Again, 80 watts applied, variable wattage mode of 0.27 ohm. Here it's putting out 4.68 volts. The power is 81.12 watts, more than it's rated for. Okay, at a higher resistance. Well, yeah, that's possible. It's putting out less amperage off that battery because the resistance is higher, and it is actually applying a higher voltage. So that's interesting. Next one up, 0.53 ohms, same routine here. Now we got 6.8 volts and 87.25 watts. That's significantly over the rating, and it's still a very fast rise time. This is different. And here to 0.99, putting out 9.44 volts, which is a full 90 watts, 10 above its rating. That to me is real interesting. This mod handles things a little bit differently than most mods. It has quite a range of voltage that it will supply, and it does so. It's putting out quite a bit of wattage at very high resistances. So that's just different. Not necessarily good or bad, just really different. Looking at the power graph, this is inverted in comparison to most mods. You can see, just what we looked at on the graphs. It goes from 0.14 at 71 all the way up to 0.99 at 90 watts. The next one in is a variable voltage. This is pretty normal stuff here. It's putting out 4 volts. That's what's on the battery at the moment. When I fired it, real fast rise time, so it's acting a lot like a mech mod, as it should. Temperature control. Now we're going to get interesting again. Okay, temperature control, I have it set for 420 degrees Fahrenheit. I have 50 watts available. Now remember earlier in the video I procrastinated a little as to how I wanted to talk about that. Well, this is why. The resistance was 0.38 ohms, and it is applying 70 watts of power, and it's achieving 500 degrees Fahrenheit. So this mod is going to achieve a set temperature, or close to it, as close as it can, obviously. Even if it has to go over, okay, what the wattage that you have set, okay, for available. So that is definitely different again. Quite a rise time, 400 milliseconds here. But yeah, that's just different. Now, in TC, I did a second test here. This one I set it for 80 watts and 420 degrees Fahrenheit. And look what we did here. We shot up to that 80 watts, and then we pulled back down and started pulsating. And I can actually feel this when I vape on it. I can feel that hot spot in the beginning, and again, with a pretty significant rise time. You gotta wait a bit. You got that 400 millisecond rise time in there, and then you get this hot spot in the very beginning, and then it cools down and kind of evens out. Okay. Now, last TC that I did, okay, this is with a dry coil. Now, you can see I fired it twice, and it is responding to that. Okay, it did not burn the cotton, so it is responding very nicely to a dry coil. It says, nope, we're not going to burn that cotton. So I think primarily what we have here is a temperature control where the emphasis is to avoid dry hits. I don't think this unit is necessarily one designed to give that smooth ultimate temperature control vape where no matter how you draw on it or whatever, it maintains that temperature and varies, its settings throughout your vape to keep it at exactly that same temperature. I think this is more geared to just keeping folks away from getting dry hits. It is pretty close to temperature. It's not dead on, but yeah, I guess with looking at industry standards, it's not all that far off either. So it's hitting a reasonable temperature. It's preventing dry hits. So I think that's what this particular form of temperature control is designed to do. Okay, what do I want to say about this mod for Talk About It segment? First off, I'll admit straight up I do like it. It's small, it's compact, it's lightweight. The battery life is pretty doggone good. I get a little over 200 puffs out of a single charge on a battery. It took me about an hour to charge the battery with a 1 amp power supply on it. With a 2 amp power supply, obviously that's going to do a lot better than that. I love the glass screen in the front, real easy to see, real clear, real bright. The clock that's on there, I don't know if you can see it from here, when the main screen times out, that's a nice little thing too. It's just sharp looking. It adds a little bit of pizzazz to the unit. You're going to lock it down so that you can't misadjust it by accident. It shuts off. I like that. A lot of mods today don't, but with this one you can shut it right off, put it in your pocket, no worries. The atomizer itself, pretty amazing really. I got with the 1.2 ohm coil. Okay, and one or two of the little pinholes open for the airflow control. I got a real convincing mouth-to-lung vape. One heck of a throat hit. So if you're just beginning to vape and you need that throat hit as part of what you had with smoking in the past, this will provide it. There's no doubt about it. And then with that 0.5 ohm coil with the airflow wide open on it, it provides a real nice direct to lung vape. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that vape. Now, this particular tank is not going to give you temperature control because the only two coils made for it, okay, are both nichrome. So it would have to be a different addy that you put on the top if in effect you want to use a temperature control for the protection against dry hits. It'll fit up to 22 millimeter addy on here flush all the way around. Looks real sharp. I'm going to give this one a definite thumbs up. I like this one. I've been using it. I'll continue to use it. There's no doubt about it. It has its place in the arsenal, as they say. Very nice little mod. Very nice little mod. Okay, and with that, I want to thank Health Cabin for sending me this for review, and they asked me to put in a plug for them, and here that is for their World Cup Festival. World Cup Fever Pitch Festival going on right now, and all kinds of great deals and discounts. So thank you so very much, and thank you all for watching. Hope you gain something out of this. Hope you have the opportunity to check this little guy out. See you next time.